G'day folks and welcome to the summary of the second Axis turn from this playthrough of Case Blue Enemy Gates Crimea from Operational Combat Series. If you've seen the first video, a lot of planning went into that first turn and I thought things would really speed up, but they haven't. As we force these breakthroughs, the Axis supply situation just becomes even more complicated. So we'll start at the north here, up the top, and I'll zoom in and work my way south. We'll go along the front. So things are very stable along this first area here, northeast of Orel. Nothing happening around here, just a slight nudge by the Axis, but nothing much. Some strong Soviet forces behind the lines. This is where they are breaking through. And this is their initial breakthrough from turn one, this little gap they created, which allowed them to rush the 4th Panzer Division through. And you'll see the 4th Panzer Division behind the lines here on the way to Yelets. All they are doing really is undermining the supply situation for these Soviets along the front. These units here now are going to struggle to draw supply from Yelets and will need to pull back. There is another important attack that happened. There was another important attack that happened here. The 25th Motorized Division kind of pushed from the western side, just drove back these Soviet forces here and helping to advance that rail line down there. You'll see how the Soviets tried to form this defensive barrier, but this is completely been undermined by the 4th Panzer Division coming in from the north and driving down, so they will need to pull back. Now this was, in this area here, where the most important breakthrough of turn one happened. And you may recall all these Panzer Divisions and motorized divisions were sitting around here. I managed to overrun Stary Oskol, and this is very important because it's just a crossroads for both rail and roads. And because that happened, I was then able to swing my divisions around, and you can see how they've driven down here and have landed kind of just to the west of Ostrogosk over here. So rather than driving through this Soviet line, this is Soviet forces retreating towards Voronezh, I've kind of come around them, and that's worked really well. The secondary road here, this is a secondary road, has really facilitated rapid movement to the south, and they've swung around to the east. And a small pocket of Soviet forces, frustratingly sitting on this rail line, which is really annoying, but I didn't have supplies to really push them off, so hopefully they disappear by the end of this turn. And the infantry moving up as well. So the plan was still to hit the Don and then drive south, but I've just kind of taken a detour around this strong Soviet line. You'll see here where the 11th Panzer did kind of push through a little bit. The idea here is this was a weak Soviet position, and I just wanted to potentially threaten these Soviet forces. It's going to force them now to really pull back behind the Don rather than just try and hold on that line any longer. So these guys will need to pull back rapidly if they can. I did attack Novi Oskil. This is another very important hub of road and rail, and it was unsuccessful. And this is quite frustrating because this was an important place to capture. That secondary road leading all the way through, linking north, south, east, west, but it was unsuccessful and the Soviets hold. But their position here is no longer sustainable by supplies, and they will need to pull back. You can see here, this is where I have the bulk of my forces. I could have attacked Ostrogosh, I could have attacked Sloboda, but didn't. Instead, I took the 23rd Panzer Division and the 29th Motorized Division, and I drove them south towards Rovinsky here. The reason I've done that is because, yeah, you can see here they've got. I'm trying to get this clear the Ida River, get this road crossing clear, and continue driving southeast, right, basically. I didn't want to stuff around with, well, to be frank, my supplies could reach to about here. And if I pushed any further, I would be in trouble. So I've decided to push south instead, keep them in supply, and yeah, facilitate this drive into the open areas to the south. So all these Soviet forces here are going to be out of trace supply. They will need to pull back quite rapidly. And you can see the infantry moving up. The Hungarians in the north here, Axis forces, German forces in the south. Veliky captured securely. There's a little remnant hanging around here, a couple of Soviet stragglers who could be in trouble this turn. Romanians are now moving up quite rapidly. They've crossed the Oskol River here. We've crossed the Donets River down here and moving rapidly in this vast open space towards Starobelsk and Milorevo over here. In the south, I really struggled with supplies in this area, so a lot of formations didn't activate. The 14th Panzer, now they do have their intrinsic trucks there, which is fueled up, but I've saved this as, I'm saving this organic truck as kind of a reserve. I could have spent them now and they could have kind of moved into this space, but I really want to save those supplies for when they really want to break through. At present, we're just kind of consolidating the infantry moving up. We want to stop the Soviets moving north from this position here and trying to push them back along that rail line. So you can see my Italian cavalry has rushed ahead, reconnaissance unit has rushed ahead. And yeah, Italian infantry kind of forming that line. And down the south here, it was very quiet. Nothing happening down here. Just did not have the supplies. A couple of little nudges forward, you can see of the infantry trying to get a bit of a solid line, contain the Soviets, push them back. But, oh, and of course the other one here is the D'Aosta Italian Division and the 60th Motorized Division. The reason I held the 14th Panzer is they're holding this key river crossing across the Donets, and I was just worried the Soviets might try something around here, so held them there, but we've pushed on here to Milorevo. And yeah, threatening that. No combat, but just threatening their supplies from the north. Rail line is cut from the south. This does lead all the way up to Svoboda, so this rail line is still in supply, and that's the kind of the next thing that the Axis forces will need to cut. So yeah, it looks fairly straightforward, but it has taken me a long time to work through all this. These forces in particular took a long time to plan out. And there's stuff going down in Crimea, but it was pretty quiet, so not much to report down there. So I'm about to move on to the Soviet turn. Stay tuned, and I'll report back soon. Thanks, folks, and take care.